Think about this for a moment. Have you really considered what your expectations of a listing agent are when they get ready to sell your home? You may have thought about this before, or you may have an idea. What I'm going to ask you to do is simply write it down. After our conversation today, you'll know 8 things that your listing agent should be doing for you and things to look for from an agent that's going to be of top-notch quality to help you sell your home. My name is Andrew Finney, and my passion is helping you make sense of real estate. If you need help finding a top agent near you, or if you simply want to drop me a line to say hello, my contact info is below. If you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel now and like this video. Thank you. Alright my friend, let's take a closer look at this. And it may come as a shocker to you that roughly about 20% of all real estate agents across the United States do 80% of the work. So what does this mean to you? The ratios aren't exactly in your favor of finding a strong listing agent to help you sell your home. If only 20% are good to go, that's like 1 in 5 that are going to be ready to list your home and know exactly how to do it, how to be a top-notch professional, and be able to work with you and keep you on the up and up as you move forward. So when we really get clear on that, it signifies the importance of making sure that you do your due diligence, you check out an agent's reviews, their ratings, and their past sales performance. So let's get started with the 8 things that your listing agent should be doing for you. Number 1 is pricing your home correctly. When we're talking about pricing your home correctly, you might have a price in mind for your home, and it might be below what the market is actually going for. It could be above what the market's going for, or you might be really close to it either way. Now, your listing agent's going to step in. That trusted real estate advisor should definitely be a local expert that knows what's going on with what I like to call TIC, being what makes the market tick, and TIC being an acronym for trends, indicators, and conditions. They should be sharing this information with you on why a certain price is going to be more beneficial to you than others. Because here's what often happens. Sometimes people get, going back to that 80-20, kind of like what's actually known as a Pareto's principle, the 80-20 rule. You may have heard of it before. If not, then it's a great book for you to listen to, by the way, but that's a different story another day. When we're talking about the reality that 20% of trusted real estate advisors do 80% of the work, that means we have a whole contingent of 4/5 of the total real estate agents that may be a little bit desperate for a listing. What happens here when it comes down to pricing your home correctly is awful, because what could happen is they could just be so desperate to get a listing, they'll just agree with whatever you say. They might not even know what the home is worth and just say, oh yeah, that price sounds good, somebody will buy it. When in reality, if the home isn't priced correctly out of the gate, your odds of selling massively go down. The longer the home is on the market, the worse it's going to get. The first 21 to 35 days are the most critical days on market in the entire listing period. If it can't be buttoned up and put into contract within that time frame, we have a problem. And right or wrong, buyers in the market are going to start thinking something might be wrong with your house, even though there's nothing wrong. So the number 1 thing your listing agent should always be doing with you is be straight with you, be honest with you about the price. I always share with people, hey, you know what? We as people are pretty cool about 3 things when it comes to communication that we know of for a fact. Number 1, people do awesome with tremendously wonderful news. People do absolutely okay with bad news as long as they were shared with the bad news. And we do pathetically awful with no news. What does this mean to your list price strategy and an agent getting your price right with you and having that conversation with you up front? Everything. Because it may not be exactly what you want to hear. It may be exactly what you want to hear. By being honest with you, it'll help you know if now is the right time for you to sell your home or if you should wait, depending on the reasons why you're selling your home. The second thing your listing agent should be doing for you is market the heck out of your property, and I mean the living heck out of it. You should have a tech-savvy agent that has social media profiles, that has a robust website that drives traffic to it and gets people involved with the process. They should also have a strong network of agents and brokers that they can call about your listing, letting them know that you guys are on the market and that please bring any buyers that they have over. They should be picking up that phone, calling your neighbors, finding out if there's anyone else that wants to move into the neighborhood. Of course, all of that is for naught if professional photography was not completed. Making sure that you get the process right before you go on the market is critically important to the success when you're on the market. That obviously includes depersonalizing and decluttering your house. It also includes making sure that your home is staged either with the stuff that you have, or you've considered virtual staging, or perhaps even traditional home staging prior to getting the professional listing photography completed. And notice that I keep using that word, professional listing photography. Look, here's the reality. I make a lot of videos that help you make sense of real estate. At the same time, I am not a professional photographer despite the awesome equipment I use to make these videos. It is that important to get right that I will always call a professional photographer to come out and shoot your home once you and I have done our job to get your home depersonalized, decluttered, and staged to the best of its ability to present it in in the best light to prospective buyers. Think of it going on the market like Match.com. We're essentially asking a buyer to marry a 15, 20, or 30-year mortgage to purchase your home. So with up to a 30-year commitment, I think we can get this right by making sure that your house pops and grabs their attention and they want to marry it so much that they make an offer. The third thing your listing agent should be doing for you is giving you frequent communication in the way that is most important to you. Now, we live in a time that's really, really awesome. We have text messaging, we have phone calls, we have video conferencing, we have FaceTime, we have Facebook Messenger, we have email. There are so many different ways we can communicate. Look, you got a life as you're selling your home. You got plans and you're probably planning on where you're going next too, aren't you? So what is the way that you like to be communicated with? You and your listing agent should have had that conversation and also established a minimum contact rate that you would have going forward. Here in Las Vegas, Nevada, when I work with people to sell their homes, that minimum communication rate is a minimum. Again, I say that word minimum of once a week. In reality, it's normally much more frequently. I spell everything out in the listing agreement. I spell everything out in additional terms to the contract to the listing agreement so that everybody has clarity and knows what to expect going forward. Of course, since I make so many videos helping people make sense of real estate, I also use these videos in frequent communication with them to support what we're doing, then to help them understand so that they can simply be in bed at 11:30 at night, click on a video, and know exactly what's going on in addition to the conversations we're having based upon the method of communication that they enjoy most. Communication is essential. That's why in a survey of people that work with real estate agents, either selling or buying, oftentimes the #1 complaint against real estate agents is lack of communication. There's no excuse for it. It's very simple. And we just identified multiple ways to get a hold of you, from the phone to text messaging to video conferencing to email to driving by in person or whatever the case may be that needs to happen to communicate effectively. If you have a lack of communication during that process, that's a problem when you get ready to go into contract. So let's keep the lines of communication wide open for each other. The fourth thing that your listing agent should be doing for you is vetting the buyer. Now, this might sound like a huge misnomer to vet the buyer. You're probably thinking, Andrew, what does that mean exactly? Does that mean that we're gonna dig in and get their social security number, their blood type, their firstborn? No, we're not gonna go that far, fortunately. At the same time, we do need to be able to pick up the phone, contact the loan officer that issued the pre-approval for that home buyer, or if it's a cash buyer, call the bank to verify that yes, they do have an account with them, and yes, the funds that they're sharing with us that they have are actually there. This becomes critically important because before you take your house off the market, we should know that the buyer is well qualified and well approved to purchase your home. So when you're looking for homes that you're considering buying and you see a home fell out of escrow, what's the first thought that pops in your mind? I'm willing to bet that first thought is something was wrong with the house. Either it didn't appraise or the home inspection was awful. Otherwise, why would a buyer that makes an offer fall out of contract, right? The reality is over a third of homes that fall out of escrow do so due to financing issues. So your listing agent, being a top-notch agent in your area, should always do everything that they can to verify and ensure that the buyer's finances are right and good to go before taking the house off the market. The fifth thing is to negotiate the best terms for you. Now, when we're talking about negotiating the best terms, you're like, well, yeah, they're my listing agent, Andrew. Why the heck wouldn't they? Sometimes, remember that 80-20 Pareto principle we were talking about earlier in our conversation? Yeah, it kind of goes to that whenever you have 4/5 of the agents out there that are only doing 20% of the work compared to the 1/5 of the agents that are doing 80% of the work. When we're talking about negotiating the best terms, agents should never be concerned with their pocketbook and how much money they're going to earn in commissions when your home sells just for any old price. They should always be concerned, #1, with helping you get the best terms that are realistic to the market trends, indicators, and conditions in the market at the time that you're selling your home. It's critically important. It's important to know that when the contracts, the devil's in the details. You can shift numbers around one way or the other, and it can totally do different things to what's called an estimated net sheet, which you should have, by the way, when you get ready to go on the market, to know about how much you could realistically expect to walk away from. On that point, when we're talking about an estimated net sheet, it's always prudent to put in the best case, worst case, and probably the most probable case before going on the market to ensure that it's the right time for you. The sixth thing that your listing agent should be doing for you is attending the home inspection. Now, if they attend the home inspection for you on your behalf, sometimes this is a good thing, sometimes this is a bad thing, so it really depends on what's common and customary in your area. Either way, it's never a bad idea for a listing agent to have a conversation with a home inspector. You might be thinking like, yeah, let me get my listing agent over there because then they're just gonna argue and get contentious with the home inspector. No, that's not the purpose of it. The purpose of it is sometimes in human communication, and think back to that game as kids that we used to play called telephone tag, right? Where it started off with the first kid, by the time we got to the 10th kid, it was the wrong message. Sometimes that happens with home inspections too, where a home inspector is conveying something to them based upon his or her findings in the home inspection at that time and their opinion of what's going on with the house. The buyer might make that a bigger issue than it really is, or the buyer agent could do the same thing. And even though we're all going to get a copy of the home inspection report if they're making a repair request, then what happens is it gets blown out of proportion. By virtue of having your listing agent there to observe, they can hear what's going on, take notes, and report back to you. And strong likelihood is then you could go ahead and get into mode to fix anything that might come up as a result. Doing so gives you the jump start on getting the repairs taken care of and giving the buyer peace of mind and clarity that they made the right decision. The 7th thing your listing agent should do is consider attending the home appraisal. The reason I said that they should consider is because I have found in real estate practice that some appraisers would like the listing agent to be there and some don't want you anywhere around. So it depends on the appraiser. Now, at all case, best practices for the listing agent when they get the call from the appraiser, simply to ask the appraiser, number 1, do you have everything that you need to appraise the property? The appraiser is more than likely going to say yes. Number 2, is there anything else I can provide to you to help you make a determination of value for this home? The appraiser might say, I would like a list of improvements, or I might like X, Y, and Z. Either way, that's now the listing agent's chance to get that information to the appraiser to help them make the determination of value in that appraiser's opinion. The 3rd thing is, Mr. and Mrs. Appraiser, would you like me to be present at the time of the home appraisal with you to answer any questions you may have? That 3rd question is the linchpin. Either the appraiser is going to say, yeah, sure, you can come by if you want, or the appraiser is going to say, no, I prefer to do this myself. If the appraiser says no, they choose to do it themselves, then normally it's a good idea to stay away, because we don't want to piss off the appraiser. I mean, let's be honest, they're valuing the property. We don't want to tick them off. So if the appraiser says, yes, I would like you to be there, we should be there. All the same, it's something that a top agent will be well prepared to do for you. That 8th thing your listing agent should be doing for you is tying up any loose ends. When we're talking about tying up loose ends, in specific, what we're referring to here are any details for the home repairs or any legwork that needs to go behind getting the documentation right and ready to go. Chances are that you're probably already looking for your new place that you're going to live to, right? So the last thing on your mind is what? Getting all that repairs taken care of. What should your listing agent be ready to do? Contact all the different service providers, make sure that they're scheduled to go out, and make sure that there are arrangements made for them to gain access into the house to make those repairs. Also make sure that they're getting a receipt for any of the work that was done and providing that over to the buyer agent to give to the buyer. Doing so creates transparency, it creates ease, and most importantly, it makes your life a little bit easier as you're focusing on where you're going next and what's most important to you. All right, my friend, we've talked about a lot so far in this conversation, so let me boil it down for you for 7 core traits you would like to have in a listing agent. Number 1 is honesty. Number 2 is professionalism. Number 3 is excellent communication skills. Number 4 are strong negotiation skills. Number 5 is a clever marketing strategy. Number 6 is having an exceptional personal reputation, which can easily be found through their ratings and reviews online. And number 7, having the right experience and proven results to get your home on the market and sold, helping other clients. This can be demonstrated by their sales history. All right, my friend, we have covered a lot of information in this conversation today, and I hope you have found it truly helpful. So for our next conversation, why don't we talk about the 20 questions you want to ask listing agents and the 4 things not to do when listing your house. I'm looking forward to chatting with you again soon. We'll see you in a few.